You're driving home, and your shoulders are down for the first time in months. You'd forgotten they could be down. You said it to your best friend on her couch this afternoon. The things you'd been editing in your head for a year. And she didn't argue with any of it. She just listened. At the end, she said, "You know what you need to do." And you did. You'd known for a while. The whole point of today was to say it out loud to another person so it would have a witness. So you could drive home like this and feel it. The decision already made. The thing already in motion. Tonight. You were going to do it tonight. You pull into the driveway. You sit there with the engine off, keys still in your hand, and the lightness is still there. Sitting in your chest like something just set down. You walk through the door. He's on the couch. He looks up. He says, "Hey, you." The soft way. The way from before things got bad. And your whole body sits down beside him. The keys are still in your hand. You didn't decide to stay. You watched yourself decide. And you know this isn't the first time. You know because there's a record. Not written anywhere. You'd never write it down. But kept somewhere in the body. A list of moments that accumulated without permission. The way you used to check his car in the driveway before going inside. Whether it was there or not there. Whether the lights were on in the front room. You were deciding in those 10 seconds what version of yourself to bring through the door. The Tuesday he said something at dinner. Not a bad thing, just the tone. And you heard yourself laugh at exactly the right moment. The laugh that meant nothing was wrong. You were so good at it, you didn't have to think. The night you slept on your side of the bed in a particular way that meant you weren't touching him. Calculating the exact distance that wouldn't be noticed. 6 minutes in your car in the parking lot at work, because inside the car was the last place that was only yours. The night in October you don't talk about anymore. The next morning you made a grocery list. Eggs, dish soap, that yogurt he likes. You were thinking about whether you needed more coffee when you wrote it. It was a Tuesday. You just kept writing. You have this list. You have always had this list. You haven't left. Something in you is waiting. You don't know yet what it's waiting for. You don't know what would have to happen. It's 2 a.m. and you're sitting on the bathroom floor with the door locked. You don't know how you got there exactly. You were just in bed, and then you weren't. The tile is cold through the fabric of your clothes. Your phone is at 12%. You type it in. The specific words. The ones you've never said out loud to anyone. Why can't I leave him? The articles come up. They always come up. You've been here before. Not this bathroom floor, not these exact words, but this exact reading. You scroll. The sentences are precise. They describe the driveway, the practiced laugh, the way your body calculates distance before you're even conscious of calculating it. You read a sentence and something in your chest goes quiet the way things go quiet when something is confirmed, not discovered. You nod. You nod at the next one, too. Every article lands. Every single one. You're not reading descriptions of someone else's life and recognizing fragments of your own. You're reading your life, sentence by sentence, with the mild dissociation of seeing your own handwriting in a notebook you don't remember filling. You read to the end. You close the tab. You put the phone face down on the sink. You open the door. You get back into bed.
He's asleep. His breathing is slow. You lie on your side of the bed and look at the ceiling, and you are very awake. Here's what the articles couldn't have known. You've done this before. Not once. Not twice. There was a night in March. A night sometime last winter you can barely place now. The bathroom floor is almost a ritual at this point. The locked door, the cold tile, the searching, the reading, the nodding, the closing, the going back to bed. A year ago, you read an article that described your life so exactly that your hands went cold. You closed that tab too. So confusion isn't the word for what this is. Confusion would have meant the articles didn't land. Confusion would have meant you were still assembling the picture. But the picture's been assembled. You've been holding it, complete, for a long time. Something else is keeping you on this floor. Your body already answered the question. It answered it before you finished reading. It answers it every time.
His name appears on your phone. Before you've read it, before your thumb has even moved, something drops in your stomach. A small, fast drop, like missing a step in the dark. Not dread, not excitement, something older than either of those. Your thumb hovers for half a second. Your body is already somewhere the rest of you hasn't gotten to yet. Or you're parked in the driveway, engine off. You're not thinking about anything specific, you're just sitting there with your hands still on the wheel. And you notice that your jaw is set, that your shoulders are up near your ears, that your hands are gripping slightly harder than you need to grip a steering wheel that isn't moving. Your body is preparing for something. You didn't ask it to. Or he's in a good mood. He comes into the kitchen and his voice has that looseness to it, that ease, and something in your chest, not your heart, lower, somewhere behind your sternum, goes quiet. The tension you didn't know you were holding drops a full inch. You exhale. You hadn't realized you were waiting. That's the thing. You're always waiting. Even when you're not thinking about it, even when you're writing a grocery list or brushing your teeth or reading about something completely unrelated, there's a part of you that's continuously monitoring, scanning, taking the temperature of the room from 2 rooms away. This isn't confusion. Confused people don't hold their shoulders like that. Confused people don't already know in the half second before they open the text what they're going to find inside it. There's a system running underneath the one that reads articles and nods. It doesn't care what the articles say. It has its own data, its own math, its own very clear opinion about what is dangerous and what is safe and what is worth staying near. It happens on a Wednesday, the way things like this always happen, sideways while you're thinking about something else. You're standing at the coffee station and your coworker is telling you about her weekend, and then she says it, casually, the way you'd mention the weather. My ex used to do that exact thing. Not the thing you told her about, a smaller thing. Something so ordinary you'd almost forgotten you said it. And she says it, my ex used to do that exact thing, and moves on immediately, refills her cup, keeps talking. She doesn't notice your face. She's already on to something about her sister's birthday, a restaurant she's trying to get a reservation at. Her coffee cup has a chip on the rim. You watch her talk, and there's something rising in your throat that isn't sadness exactly, and isn't relief exactly. And you don't change your expression. You go back to your desk, you answer 3 emails, you eat the salad you brought from home. The afternoon moves through its hours the way afternoons do. But underneath the afternoon, something has shifted. Because she named it. She named it without knowing she was naming it, without knowing there was anything to name. What rose in your throat was the shape of everything you haven't said and to whom. Your mother calls that evening. Or maybe you call her, you can't quite remember who called who. The conversation is short. She asks how things are. You say fine, busy, you know. She's quiet for a second. The particular quiet she has when she's deciding whether to say the next thing, and then she asks about him. And you say fine, same, it's good. She says, okay, good. And you can hear her deciding to let it go. The call ends, and you stand there with the phone in your hand and the kitchen quiet around you, and you think about how fast you both moved to get off it, how practiced, how neither of you pushed on the thing that wanted pushing. She has a life she has lived. You've watched her live it. You've been good at not thinking about that directly. But you stand there, phone still in your hand, and something about the speed of that conversation sits in the room with you after she's gone. You've read the articles. You know the shape of it. You can narrate it out loud, to yourself, in the car, in the shower, with a precision that would impress anyone who wasn't living inside it. You've done this. You understand, and you're still here. There's a book on the nightstand with a bookmark at page 47. You put it there 6 weeks ago. The chapter it stopped at is called something like Taking the First Step. You haven't moved it. Not because you forgot. Not because you stopped believing the words inside it were true. Understanding isn't the muscle that moves you out of a room. You've sat at the kitchen table at 11 p.m. and tested the argument, and it's airtight. Every link in the chain holds. And then you walk back into the room where he is, and the argument sits on the table behind you like something you forgot to carry. The body doesn't run on arguments. You already know this. You watched it happen, the chest loosening when he was in a good mood, the stomach dropping before you finished reading his name. That system didn't consult you. It just moved ahead of you, the way it always does. So you stand in the gap, knowing exactly where you are, unable to cross it with the only tool you've spent 3 years sharpening. And the question that's been sitting at the bottom of all of this, the one you haven't let yourself finish, is starting to come into focus. If it isn't confusion keeping you here, and if understanding can't move you, then what is the staying actually for? Here is what staying has been building. You know the number for the car insurance by heart. You know which setting on the washer keeps his shirts from shrinking, the one he's never learned, the one you stopped mentioning. You file the taxes. You track the expiration on the registration sticker, the one on the inside of the windshield you have to lean forward to read. You know when the landlord needs the check and how he prefers it delivered and what happens if it's late. You've built an entire infrastructure, a whole operating system for 2 people running so quietly neither of you names it. And you've kept it running through the night in October you don't talk about anymore. You kept it running through the Wednesday he didn't come home until 2, and the explanation didn't hold together, and you nodded anyway. You kept it running through all of it. You got up the next morning, you made dinner, you called your mother, you went to work, and you were fine at work, sharp and capable, and someone people bring problems to because you solve them, because that's what you do. You're the woman who holds it together, not despite the difficulty, inside it. The difficulty is the material you've been working with, and you've gotten very good at this particular work. This is what no one says out loud. You're not staying for him. You're staying for her. For the woman you get to be while you stay. The one who manages and endures and still makes the dinner and still answers the phone and still keeps going. She isn't nothing. She only exists here, inside this specific endurance built out of this specific difficulty. The exit has been open the whole time. You've seen it. You've stood close enough to feel the air from it. You haven't walked through, not because you can't, but because walking through means leaving her behind. The competent one, the one who holds the whole thing together, the one who survived the night in October and got up the next morning anyway. You haven't been waiting to be rescued. You've been building something. Whether it's worth what it cost, that's not a question this can answer. You know the sound the house makes when he's asleep and you're not. Not silence. Something denser than silence. The refrigerator cycling on. A car passing outside and then gone. His breathing somewhere down the hall, unreachable. You're awake inside that sound at 2 a.m., or on a Tuesday afternoon, or sitting in the parking lot of the grocery store with the engine off and the bags in the back seat. You're in all of those places at once. You carry them. October is in there too, folded into the weight you move around with now, named once and never opened. That's still in you, along with everything you've built, along with the woman you are only inside this. You're not anywhere near resolution. You know that. The weight doesn't lift because you've named what it is. Your hands are still. The bags are still in the back seat. The house is still making that sound. This is the thing. Not the before and not the after. This exact place, where knowing everything changes the temperature of the room but does not unlock the door. You're here. Fully here. And it isn't comfortable. And it doesn't resolve. It's a Tuesday. That's the whole context. Not a night after a fight, not the morning after the kind of silence that leaves a mark. Just Tuesday, the kitchen, the ordinary amber light, and the bowls that need putting away. He says something from across the room. You don't catch all of it. Something about the week, something about whether you want to watch something later. Not a bad thing, just a thing. You hear yourself answer. The brightness is right there in your voice, instant and warm, and you didn't put it there. It just arrived, the way it always does. Your hands are in the dish rack. There's a bowl you've had since before you moved in together. Ceramic. Slightly chipped on the rim where it hit the edge of the counter 2 winters ago. You haven't thrown it out. You dry it. Your hands are shaking very slightly. Not so anyone would see. You set the bowl down, and the thought moves through you. Not for the first time, not with any particular drama, the way a fact moves through you when you've known it so long it no longer surprises. I'm still here. Not trapped, not waiting for the version of yourself that has it figured out. Still here, inside this Tuesday, drying this bowl, with the brightness still warm in your throat from something you said 2 seconds ago that you weren't fully inside. The exit is still there. You know where it is the way you know this kitchen in the dark. And you're here. Both things at once, without resolution. The door and the dish rack, the knowing and the staying. The hands that shake in a way he won't see, and the voice that comes out warm anyway. You pick up the bowl. You finish putting away the dishes. You go to bed beside him. And somewhere tonight, someone else is standing exactly where you stood, hands still damp, a bowl in her hands, the door she knows how to find. She hasn't moved yet either. But here's the question you haven't been letting yourself ask. What did your mother do?